Hey, it's Jackie Green's Cats and Things. I know I've not got all my patients back in from having my MIR yesterday. I am not currently at home. Got these two doggies here. If I can zoom in. And we'll try and zoom in again if the phone will let me. There we go. That's Tess and Bella. So yes, I'm at my daughter's house. Let's zoom back to normal. So I will be continuing my video when I get home, but unfortunately I've not done a paranormal because the weather's been crap, and between me going for appointments at the hospital, it's been a bit hard. So I will be reading a book, but I'll probably be doing that at home. But I've started the intro here at my daughter's house at the moment. So there we go. So you have only put a couple of patients back in, the rest will go in later. So that would be joyful. So yeah, it's going to be here for a few more hours, and then I will be going home and doing my story. What's up? Doing the video. So yeah, I will read my book when I get home and introduce it then. So, but I will be doing a live next week, which will be very interesting. So yes, it'll be the monthly catch up to see what's going on, and I'll probably talk a bit more about what I know about the hospital and everything else. So yep, and little plans ahead. So there's going to be a few plans to try and get done. So yeah, anyway, I will do the rest of the video at home, but anyway, I hope you enjoy it. Catch you in a bit.
Bye.
Do you want to say anything?
No.
Oh, okay.
Bye.
Bye. Do you want to say anything? Hold on.
Hello. What are you doing?
Just like a video for my channel. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Anyway, yeah. Catch you in a bit. So, I am back home. So, obviously, I did want to read my story, but obviously, you get restricted to so many things you've got to say, because obviously there was kids there, so I didn't want to say too many things. But yeah, I went for my MIR or MRI, whatever way you say it. I went for that, and basically it was the other side of Manchester, but there you go. That was fun. But basically they were just seeing if there's anything else going on with my spine, because obviously I may have said, but I've got a curved spine. So that's why I've been suffering an awful lot of problems in my back and the lower part of my back. But also, if I walk too fast, my legs actually go numb and give away from underneath me. So I end up falling. It's not fun. So that has happened quite a few times. So, like I said, I used to do an awful lot of walking, and I absolutely loved it. So obviously, it kept me fit, kept me thin. And obviously, since all this has come along, I've gained weight, so I'm not a happy person. But it's just one of them things that happens. So anyway, I will start with the story, and it's actually a place that I wanted to investigate, but unfortunately I've got to find where the fudge it is, because I've not long got back, because it was busy. So if I can find it, because I've actually got some proper authentic pictures, because I actually went to it to go and ask them, but unfortunately it's closed down, and it's like, really? And I didn't know they were doing investigations there, so it was like, fudge. So what can you do? So let me see if I can find it, because like I said, I walked past it. There's another one that I've been looking at as well. But like I said, the weather's been terrible. I've not been home. I've obviously had appointments at the hospital, and obviously talking to people about what was going on. I think I've found it. This is the one. I think this is it. And of course we get a cat in the way. Zachary, come here. Good girl. Right, this is called, where are we? I got the right place. Nope, I've just changed over the page. No, I haven't. I'm on the right page. Right, this is called Champagne Charlie at the Shepherd's Boy. And this is on Huddersfield Road, Waterhead, Oldham. So, like I said, I actually went there because I've heard they were doing investigations there, but unfortunately they've shut down. So I'm just like, no. But there is another place further along. So hopefully I can get to walk down there and ask them. Try and see if they do investigations and all the rest of it. So, oh, now I've got a Kronos. Kronos! Kronos, this way, baby. This way. Come on, Baba. Kisses. Good boy. Right. It is no small wonder that the cotton industry became intertwined with Oldham. Its wet and watery nature filtering through the lower Pennines produces a silvery soft water and the humid temperature conditions beneficial to cotton processing. It's cold here, really cold. When I walk my little dog over Burke's Brow, which overlooks the Shepherd's Boy, I see and hear my welly squelching in the soft turf on the hilltops. Saying nothing. Mask it out of the screen. And I know I am standing on the source of the River Medlock. Bast! Yes, you! Which... Can I have a kiss? No? No? I'm not allowed to kiss. That's fine. Oh, fudge. Let's see where we got to. Squelching in the soft turf on the hilltops. And I know I am standing on the source of the River Medlock. And he's back again. Bast, come here. Which will flow south and swell the River Irwell until it courses west into the River Mersey and empties into the Irish Sea. At Liverpool Bay, puddles of water in which I paddle, which could travel anywhere in the world. So, let's get on with this. Those puddles helped the onset of the Industrial Revolution because they must have also at one time created a surge that powered water wheels for the mills, which are characteristic of this town. As I walk around Waterhead, once known as Waterhead Mill Ward, I see the remains of many mills, imperious and empty, looking shells of what would have once been a hive of industry, depleted and so quiet. They are easily unnoticed now, their immersed size slipping away into the past. Crazy cats. And I'm eating here, and it doesn't taste very nice. The Shepherd's Boy is a sit... Blah, 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 blah. And Jackie's talking like a spanner again. Start again. The Shepherd's Boy is situated approximately 2.5 miles along the stretch of Huddersfield Road, in a cusp at Waterhead before the road rises to meet Saddleworth moors and villages. It came about in 1835, converted from stone houses familiar to the area, and at an ideal time to serve the up-and-coming working population. Like other pubs, it has grown, been extended at the rear and been revamped. Its final renovation, its final... Do you know what? I wish I could talk properly, because sometimes it does my tree into. In the mid-1980s, when, again, like other public houses, it was extended into the property next door. Not a cottage this time, but a chip shop. Overseeing all of this were tenants, the Whitehead family and their daughter, Mrs. Hutchinson, who is now the current landlady. Obviously not now. Having taken on the Shepherd's Boy in 1993 from her parents. Mrs. Hutchinson and her mum, Mrs. Whitehead, are very easy to talk to folk. So placid and and good-natured They appear totally bomb-proof and are very unfazed by their addition to the premises. A ghost they call Charlie. They have no idea who he could possibly be or how long he's been part of the pub, but he seems as gentle, as kindly as they are. The previous tenants, Mr. and Mrs. King, nicknamed him Champagne Charlie, owing to a curious find in a lower floored cupboard of a top hat and cane in the 1950s. Mrs. Hutchinson said that lots of things happen at her pub, but they are not frightening. Activity seems to occur up and down the length of the lower bar. Cool. Charlie is a benign ghost, but does have a sense of humour. That's the type of ghost you want. Funny ones. He moves things which unexpectedly appears elsewhere. I spoke to Mrs. Whitehead, who said that she placed her glasses on the bar, noticed they had disappeared, but discovered them on her dressing table upstairs, and is quite adamant she did not move them. As an electrician working inside at the front of the pub put his baccy down on the same bar and could not find it because it had ended up in the kitchen, which is a good 30 to 40 yards at the back of the building. Light bulbs are unscrewed and laid on the floor, or tables clearly placed there neatly, not thrown. Likewise, pictures are removed from the wall, and one is to blame that it's not just me to coming across it. Whilst in the games room area, bar staff and customers frequently acknowledge a presence in the lounge, catching sight of something in the corner of their eye, and this happens so often they are no longer surprised, even shaken by it. When people sit at that particular bar, they can sense someone walking past. Take a look and no one is there. Over the years, someone has been heard laughing and shouting, "Stop it!" Whilst in the Shepherd's Boy, I could sense a very smart and well-scrubbed man dressed for work, but taking time to relax. He wears a collar-striped shirt and worst trousers, both very baggy and both very clean. Did he have a very dirty job and made sure he gleamed when he stepped out of his hot tin bath? He certainly was amused at my speculation about him and quite taken with the attention. A truly good-natured ghost. Kronos. 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 Come here. Kronos. Kronos. Can't get the staff, can you? Kronos. Come here. Come here. Yes, you. Wait. Kronos. I'm going to read this story, you little lemon. Come here. No. Not on there. Get down. Not on there. No. Mrs. Whitehead believes Charlie to be a nice presence, that he is lovable, unlike my fluffy cat who keeps getting in the way and being a pest. Don't you? Silly boy. That he's lovable and that children like him too. She said that she can stay on her own anywhere at any time in the pub and never feels frightened, and that she feels looked after. A touching episode occurred when she was very, very upset over the death of her brother. She needed to be on her own and did not want her tears to affect the other members of her family. In the quiet and stillness of the lounge, she felt Charlie's sympathetic and comforting touch to help and reassure her in the dreadful time of her grief. I find that gesture so very wonderfully uplifting. With the warmth and friendliness of Mrs. Hutchinson and Mrs. Whitehead and Charlie himself, no wonder the shepherd's boy feels so cosy and snug. So, yeah, I do have pictures of that pub from the outside because I actually wanted to go in there. like I said, it shut down. So I'm like, no. So it's a bit gutting, but unfortunately, because of changes over the last few years, it seems that a lot of places, they're getting no money from people coming in because people's got no money to go and drink. So a lot of these places are shutting down. And the last thing we want is them to be changed into other premises, which we don't want to happen. But the way things are going, can see that quite likely happening. Anyway, I'll do one more story, and hopefully it's a good one. That's if I can find one. And if not, we will end the video here. So we'll see what happens. Hang on a minute. See, this other pub that I know where it is, I think. No. Because there's one over the road, actually. But still full of cat fur. Wonder why. Kronos. Well, yeah. These pubs are all quite close by. Yeah. But let's have a look. No? No. Seems an interesting long story. Whew. Oh, it's another pub that I know of, funny enough. It used to be not far from where I used to live. So I'll do this one. It's called On Edge at the White House in Henshaw Street, top of the Fedge. That's how these, the dialect in Oldham used to be. We're going over at Fedge. Going in Faust. That's the way they used to talk. Heard them, a few of them, but it's dying out with, obviously, the younger generation. Obviously don't really talk like that. They just try and impersonate something else. I don't flipping know. But anyway. Oldham Edge commands panoramic views of most of the town and has been immortalised in song written and performed by the Oldham Tinkers, our local well-known lovely folk group. They're not that bloody well-known because I've never heard of them. Excuse me. For approximately 40 years. How many of us still whistle, sing or hum on Oldham Edge, the grass is green? Again, I've never heard of it. But the grass probably was a variety of other earthly colours in the past, stained by the industries that located there close to Oldham to satisfy the town's insatiable appetite for houses, factories and fuel. Reddish browns from a brickworks, pink tinted orchards from a sandstone quarry, and dark smoky blues from a coal mine. Now the edge is green again, a playing field and a country walk on Sarah Moor. I don't even think Sarah Moore's there anymore. Where I take our little dog, peaceful, tranquil, seems to be 1,000 miles away from any hubbub of town centre life. As Mrs. Joan Haig, the landlady, said, you could sit here. No need to be depressed. Look out and watch the world go by. She's not there anymore. Because I actually know her because her fella died. The boundary between Oldham and Royton runs diagonally through the middle of the White House Inn. The pub has had to respect the licensing laws of both councils, which include different closing times during the day. Oldham, 2 o'clock, Royton, 2:30. Some weird time differences. At the set of hour 2 for Oldham, patrons would pick up their glasses and tankards, walk and take them to the Royton side of the pub and settle at the tables there until 2:30 p.m. The White House Inn is a picture-pretty, family-orientated pub, aptly named because its outside walls are painted brightly in white, an easily distinguishable landmark among its neighbouring buildings when viewed from a distance. Its 3-inch bay interior is snug and cosy and as wholesome as food served by Mrs. Haig, whose rag puddings are stuff of renown. Actually, I preferred the Sunday dinners, and believe me, they were nice. Because I used to take the kids there as well, or my kids, when they were younger. Like a mother duck, she tended to her customers and her staff, flitting here and there for the got a bit of a tickly cough again. Comfort of all. Nothing was too much trouble for her, and I was looking after like one of the family. Mrs. Haig said that no matter where in the world anyone goes, they always come back to visit, and that newcomers more than likely will meet someone they know. Whilst there, my husband saw one of his workmates on a photo of the pub's darts team, and my son bumped into some of his friends from college. The ghost at the White House can set people on edge. Mrs. Haig introduced me to her friends, who all seemed to shiver and shake in unison at the mention of the pub's ghost. They literally shiver and shake when visiting the ladies' toilets because it could be so strangely cold. It was cold in there. Even at the height of summer, even though it is draft-proof, the radiator can be on full blast in cooler weather, yet still the ladies' toilet can be noticeably freezing. Everyone agreed that you did not stay in there too long. You do what you need to do, then get out. So no girl gossip in the loo, then unless it's from the other side. Sandra Morehouse, her 2 youngish sounding women in the ladies, laughing and joking when she knew she was alone. They were mumbling so she could not make out what they were saying. A cottage next door to the pub was completely knocked down in the 1960s, and the toilet block was erected in its place. Do the voices belong to the pub, or maybe this cottage? I'm trying to think what pub was beside it. I can't remember. There's been a few other pubs that was there near it. Mrs. Haig told me a true story about a helium balloon which had been left behind after she had catered for a christening. She placed it on the worktop in the pub kitchen, which used to be residential quarters. The time was about 3 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon, and all the guests had left. While she and her waitresses cleaned and tidied, they stopped in mid-movement, transfixed, because the balloon floated out of the kitchen, high to the ceiling and across the bar. It dipped at the serving hatch and guided it into the tap room, where it turned gently and dipped itself again to go through the door and into the public bar. Here it continued on its way by moving to the cigarette machine, where it lowered itself and hovered. Then it rose up and wended its way back to the kitchen through its door, arriving patiently on the spot where it had been put in the first place. The whole incident lasted about 5 minutes, an incredibly short time for a helium balloon to complete such a lengthy circuit by itself. However, could it achieve such a feat? Mr. Barry Radcliffe is a regular customer who stood in as a temporary landlord one time. He said that he always felt he was being closely watched by a female presence who was standing right behind him at all the time. He did not know why she kept a close eye on him or why she was interested in him. She followed him all over the pub, but he sensed her more strongly upstairs in the residential quarters, which used to be a functional room. Even though he is a skeptic, Mr. Radcliffe was amazed when he and his friends used a Ouija. Well, they spelled Ouija wrong. Well, there you go. Board. Because answers to questions that no one in the group could possibly have known were spelled out by the planchette. He felt the collywobbles and vividly remember one word that transversed the board letter by letter: H-O-R-A-C-E. Horace, the name of his great-grandfather. So, it's another bit to it. And part of that is something in the cellar. More often than not, the stock answer I received to my question, do you know if you are haunted. Have you noticed any activity here? Usually is, well, with something in the cellar. This always raises my eyebrows and awakens so much curiosity in me. So many spirits all over the UK have an annoying habit of turning off the taps or valves of barrels or kegs. Many witnesses place one hand on their heart and raise the other, swearing an oath that no one was around at the time. This is rife, and I will not accept that every time human error or pranksters are to blame. Why should so many people risk their jobs by perpetrating such a crime? Why waste ale whilst problems are rectified? Why cause so much inconvenience to themselves as well as others? Who would want to keep running up and down a flight of cellar stairs unnecessarily to set taps again, especially with a crowd of very thirsty people waiting? Can't do that in a pub. No alcohol. Actually, it is actually gone on to something else, but there you go. Though I am a self-confessed addict about the existence of ghosts, a true believer, I will always try to work out real physical reasons for supernatural activity before I agree that something spooky has happened. I think they call that debunking things, which you should do, because sometimes you sit there, is there a draft? Are the windows open? Is something's reflecting on the light? Is there a shadow behind me? Is this, that and the other? It's an animal moved it. You just don't know. So you always hit every single corner before you come to that conclusion. And then it's like, well, it could be a ghost or maybe not. But then you leave that option for other people to think about, don't you? Yeah, you still got a cat's butt in the way now. Anyway, where are we? I am not a skeptic, but I can be skeptical about even cynical. My attitude rivaling the most red-blooded of scoffers. I've always held the opinion that has to be a genuine scientific reason for this phenomenon. Who better to ask to solve this puzzle but a brewer? I took myself off to Greenfield Real Ale Brewery, a local brew house at Tanner's Business Centre, Greenfield. Making good beer requires more than natural ingredients. It needs patience and all love. If ever there could be a living embodiment of all what is needed in a brewer, and it is all wrapped up in Mr. Peter Percival. What a name. A placid, unassuming man who was a managing director when he had worked in Saddleworth local pubs. He'd experienced taps shutting off deep down in cellars. Could he explain to me why? He shook his head. Mr. Percival described to me the various ways barrels are sealed and how landlords have to attach taps and feeding lines to transport the beer to the bars. Lever taps are very robust and need a defiant push to flip them on and off. Round-headed taps are stiff and require determined effort to be moved round. There are different types of valves that are used. There are screw-in types and bayonet types, where the landlord has to plunge and turn the valve to keep it insecure. Barrel taps are very sturdy. They're not slight and delicate. They are designed to keep the beer safe and conditioned. A knock, a shake cannot move them. They have to be turned manually. All in all, I received the impression that fiddling with the taps took some concentrated effort and could not just happen for no apparent reason. But it does happen and still remains inexplicable. So, yep. I mean, there's other stories, but I just thought I'd read that one because I've obviously been in that place. Because at one point, you could visit quite a few pubs and you'd do something called like a pub crawl. So you go you'd go in one pub, have a drink, or maybe two drinks, then move on. Then you go in another one, and then move on. And that's how you you'd work your way through. And you'd either go your way into town to go to a club, nightclub, playing whatever type of music you liked, or not. So, but they're not like that anymore because a lot of them have shut down, as people know, because of, yeah, the current things that have been going on. And obviously now there's lack of money. So again, it forces more of these places to shut down. But unfortunately, what I don't want to see is them getting knocked down. But hopefully they won't, because if they've been up for a long time, then they become listed buildings. So hopefully not. But then you know what happens. The interior becomes something completely different. And then it just ruins the look of the pub. So it's not good. I do know in this house that I'm in that used to have a cellar, but it has been filled in, unfortunately. So I'd love to have converted it into something, but unfortunately we can't do that. But in this house, I do have the old outside toilet. So we've still got the hole in the ground for where the outside toilet is, because there's two like buildings. And one could have been where they had the coal bunkers, because obviously you'd have to bring in your own fuel, which would be put outside. And the place beside it is where you went to the toilet, the bathroom. And downstairs in my front room, there's natural coal fire. Or you could have had wood there, whatever you wish to have. But yeah, there's a proper fireplace. There's a hearth. It does look nice, but I don't like real fires because I've been in houses with real fires before and they're not that warm. So, yeah. And especially living up here because we're higher up where we live. So it can get pretty cold. So, yes. And also, I will find it interesting if we do start doing more structural work on this house, which will eventually happen in the future, whether it will awaken the certain spirit or spirits in this house, which they've calmed down quite a bit, whether it'll wake them up or not. So we'll find out. So I do know about the cotton mills. I knew about quite a bit of things that went on in Oldham because it was a big working area. And they would shut down for 2 weeks every year, and that was their holidays. And obviously, children or people at a young age went and worked in the mills as well. So, yeah. So, it was a working town. So, it does have some bloody weird names up here. Sometimes I even laugh at some of them. But, there you go. Now, I do have more stories, but we are trying to find other places to go, but it's not as easy as it looks because places that have been left derelict, they get left in so much disrepair. And then obviously people go in, they either rob it, take something out of it, and then the place is falling apart. And then what happens? It becomes structurally unsafe. So then they get rid, basically. So it's a shame, but this is what happens. I mean, there's a pub not too far from here. I say it's about a mile up the road. And yeah, from what I've heard, it's getting demolished because it's been left that long. It is basically falling apart. And it's a shame. But that's what they do. They leave it. They let it fall apart. And we do get high winds up here, so I'm surprised half the slates have blown off. We've had them in this house where slates are blown off. We've had to replace them, but if we didn't replace them, then obviously the place would become structurally dangerous and fall apart. Because this is a proper brick house. It's not the way they make the newer type of houses, which are a bag of rubbish. But, yeah. I was trying to get to go to my daughter-in-law's house. From what I've been told, there's things that go on there, and she's lived there quite a long time, from what I've been told, because she moved out. Oh, sorry, she didn't move out of her mother's. Her mother threw her out, basically. when she was younger. And she's been in the house ever since. She's never moved. She's lived there, and she's like, she's in her 30s now. So she's been there for quite a while now. And obviously she's got 2 children, my grandsons. So, yep. And obviously she puts up with my oldest son. I feel sorry for her. I really do. And, yeah. They live there now, don't they? And they've got a kitty. Yeah, they have. And 3 doggies. So, and where she lives, it's quite high up as well, in another part of kind of Oldham, but it's like the other side. And it's quite nice up there where they live. They live not far from where I live, not far from farmlands and open green spaces, as you can call it. Because I would rather not live near a town, because the town could become rough and not very nice. So, yeah. It's pretty cool, but the only thing I won't do is let my cats go out. Will I? Because you're not allowed out. Yeah, it's dangerous. Because we're not too far from lots of main roads, which would run kitties over. My good girl, aren't you? Yes, you are. In fact, she was found not too far away from here. Well, yeah. She was actually thrown out of a car because you could tell from all the cuts and the state she was in. All her nails were chipped and she had cuts on her face, and you were found in the middle of the road as a kitten, weren't you? So, that was on a main road not far from here. Yeah. And I've had her ever since. So, yep. It was it was about a mile or so from where I live now. It was another horrible main road because, yeah. Like I said, up here is quite a bit. There's bits of other parts of Oldham that are all like industrial areas. So, yeah. There's still the odd bits around here. But a lot of these places are closing down. From what I read, there's another mill that's getting demolished. So it just means in place it'll end up with that horrible plastic structure, which I just do not like. They just remind me of pieces of Lego that they just fit together. And then when it's windy, you can feel the whole place moving and rattling in the wind. It's like it's a ready-built house in a couple of weeks, but it's not a house, it's just a building, but it's horrible. I prefer these brick buildings. Just, you've got to maintain them, look after them. With or without ghosties. But I wouldn't be surprised if things are going over the road, because these, like I said, these houses around here have been up since 1910, and I don't know what was on this land beforehand. It could be anything. I'd have to go back further in history to find out. So that would be interesting. So, yeah. And a lot's changed when I lived here the first time round. Because I'd moved away from this part to another part. And came back. And maybe one day we'll move away again. Don't know. You never know what's around the corner, do you? But anyway, I've done enough droning on and on and on and on. But guess what, people? Because I know I'm doing my live next week. But I am nearly at 1K. And I'm trying to get there. Oh, obviously not everything that I do is exciting. But I like to think that I have fun. Do crazy things sometimes. Within reason, that is. And it's not just myself. I support other YouTubers as well, because people, I find, work really, really hard and believe and do what they want or what they think is best for their channel, which I've got no problem with that. And I support them too, which I think everybody else should do. You don't have to, what's the word, have a membership to enjoy a channel. Sometimes you just, all you need to do is hit that like button and subscribe, and that is it. And just watch every time. And if you find it boring, just leave it to run in the background. Sometimes I'll leave it there and just let it run. And the odd times I fell asleep during them, not because I'm bored, it's just because of how much I do to my capability in a day, which is probably nothing to other people. But to me, it tires me out, which I'd like to do more, but I can't. Not fair, and it's not fun. I'm just hoping that everything gets a lot better because I am actually upping my internet. So getting a stronger connection, because sometimes my internet drops out and it does my treeing. So hopefully it'll be a lot better. I'm still not getting all the components I need from my computer, which I'm a bit miffed at. So I may have to contact a friend to get a little bit of help to make sure that I'm getting everything that I need for it, to start doing a bit more from the computer downstairs instead of me having to do this all the time. Because, yeah, it gets a bit much, and especially doing it all on my phone. Anyway, I've had enough of waffling on with myself, because it can go on and on and on. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, subscribe, hit that bell, whichever side I put it on. And yeah, throw a comment down below. Let me know what you like and what you dislike. What would you like me to do? There could be other stories I could talk about or read. I know sometimes it can get a bit boring, because it can. As simple as that. Not everybody sits and reads from a book or reads from a script. I don't. I can't be bothered. It's like you feel robotic. But anyway, I've finished dribbling on. And anyway, hope you all have a good weekend, and I will catch you all on Monday. Bye.